Good morning, grand rising, and many blessings to each of you uh, from the deepest part of my heart as Charlie Riverman Bergeron on this beautiful day. Weather-wise here on the southwest coast of Maine, we've gone from 94-degree weather to 56-degree weather. Uh, don't try to explain that. We are not going to. It's part of the process of our world today that we are learning to adapt to rapid changes that are beyond the realms of our thinking and intentionally just not registering as uh, in alignment with any purpose. So I welcome you all this morning. I'm not seeing anybody appearing, but that's okay. I know you will arrive at some point. And today's talk is my talk here on Humanity Healing, number 200. And I'm going to celebrate that as a joy for me to be here for 200 weeks every Friday and offering what comes from my heart to yours. Dion, Debbie, yeah, I know sometimes it takes a while for all of this to get online and do whatever technology does. And so I want to thank you. And I went back to the first talk I did, which was in August of 2017 here on Humanity Healing. And thank you for allowing me this space to speak from my heart to the world. And in this world, over these 4 years, there's been so many changes. It's hard to really talk about all of them. And even as we go week to week right now, there are so many changes that are happening that it sometimes feels like we're on a roller coaster. So if that's what you're feeling like, you're not alone. And the message came to me this morning after I looked at my first talk, and it was about gratitude. And and that's it's gratefulness is required. And I just went through this week. So I know many of you may be going through a lot of difficulties and challenges, whether it be physical, financial, or just the insanity of the collective whole has just become overwhelming. I don't want to go into that at any level. We all have something that is driving us crazy inside, saying, why isn't anybody doing something? And this is a place we're at, and it's happening at a very rapid pace. So it's easy for us to forget to be grateful, and it's easy for us to um, try to look the other way or not get involved or whatever. And then when we do that, we feel guilty or we feel less than, and we end up diminishing ourselves. And it really has nothing to do with us at that level. It's what the world is presenting intentionally to make us feel that way. And when I realized that, it was the other day I started to realize this. I went into this sort of a deep depression. And I don't usually do that. I'm very far from being a depressive person. But it was overwhelming. And what I realized in that overwhelming, the only way out was to look and see what I was grateful for. What can I say I'm grateful for in the midst of all of this nightmarish emotion and energy and craziness. What am I grateful for? And then when I awoke this morning and saw that my first talk here was about gratitude, I said, it's only perfect. That was the message, was that I was to speak about gratitude again, and maybe a different way, and marry 200 talks together and complete a circle. And we'll talk about circle in a minute. So welcome you all. Say Jolene, Melissa, Lily. Thank you all for being with me today. And please, if this resonates with you, share it to your friends. Share Humanity Healing with your friends. It's a great place to be and gather and get information that comes right from the heart rather than from the news media. So, those of you who know me for a long time, um, I've worked with guides, and in the beginning, they were angels. That's all I knew. And over time, now there's many guides, and there's many forms, there's many shapes, and then there's no shapes and no forms. And it doesn't matter. What there is there's a connection, an energetic connection. And they may not even be beings, that may be my imagination. But there is a connection to an intelligence that will communicate with us. And when we tap into that communication network, everything becomes a little bit different. It becomes a little less focused on me and what I want and the relationship I have for me, to a greater relationship of wholeness with all different kinds of things, different forms, different life forms, be it animals or trees or plants or flowers. And each one of us are uniquely attuned to parts of nature and parts of life that, regardless of what people want to understand about it, it exists. And it's our responsibility at this moment now is to listen for those energetic connections. They may be voices, they may be just synchronicities, things happen repeatedly. And tap into that field of communication. Because the world of communication on this planet right now between humans is corrupt, it has been corrupted, and it has an intention and a design specifically to enhance some and drain others. And I don't like saying that. I'm trying not to be negative, but I'm actually grateful for that knowledge, because without that knowledge, I would continue to go on and keep questioning what's wrong with me. And as this week pointed out to me, sure, there's a lot of things wrong with me. I've been through a lot in this lifetime, and many of you have as well. But that's not the problem. The problem now is that all of those things that we've been blaming ourselves for, are taking responsibility for because somebody told us it was our fault, or we did this, or you were wrong, or this idea that you had was wrong, and then you see somebody make $1 million on it. It all of this plays out right now because the energy fields are alive. They have been heightened to a level of awareness and aliveness beyond, I think, what humanity has ever experienced, except perhaps in the beginning when it was all harmonious and in balance, and now we're so out of balance that it's ridiculous. Imbalance is like a kindergarten word at this point. So 200 talks ago, it was about gratitude. And I'm going to read what I wrote and came through me that 4 years ago. And my guys always have this game we play, and we've always played this. Was a word, and then I that would give me a word for every letter in the word, and it usually would come. Sometimes it come out and would make sense, but usually it gave me something to look at differently about that word and how it interacted in my life and how I interacted with that word in life, because words are our communication. They weren't always our communication, but we've created them and recreated them and rewritten them and taken them from one language and had twisted it over to this language to mean et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is the brain. This is what the brain does. It calculates, it registers, it writes, it records. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now in the manner that we are had that not occurred. But the message of gratitude was this, and it was the word gratitude. And each word is one of the letters. Giving, respect, and thanksgiving in time. Understanding dimensional eternalness. I want to read those three last words. Understanding dimensional eternalness. This is where we are. We're entering into a new dimension of life. And the key is that life doesn't end. It goes on and on and on. But it may shape shift in as far as time frequency or understanding. But the key is it's eternal. It's eternal. And when we look at what's going on in the world today, what brings up the greatest fear is our limitedness in being able to provide for ourselves or save ourselves or help ourselves. And the other one is the fear of death. And it's not to say all of that's going to go away, but what will happen, hopefully, for all of us that listen to this, we'll come back to a place where we know that we can recover from that feeling. That there's a safe way, there's a safe gateway, if you will. So these words that I read have a completely different meaning to me now than they did then. And that showed me that what we call in the distance of time, that 4 years, what else changed completely? And I encourage you to look back in your own lives and find a place, not too far back, could be 3, 4 years, whatever, and ask yourself what was important to me then, and how did I look at it, and how does that fit into my world today? And some of you may be just as passionate as you were then about something, and others you'll say, "Oh, I forgot I even did that," or "I like that." And the message today is really to be grateful for that change in some way. And if it was a harmful change, we have to embrace that and know that it happened. And yet, as a result of that, we have changed. And have we changed in a positive manner or in a negative manner? Have we gone, what has happened to us emotionally, energetically? So the message came through this morning as I was writing is that we all need to make a time frame. What's I guided to say a time frame in our past and use it as a reference point. So I said, for me, it's 4 years of doing these talks. And I like to call that, or my personal name for that is my flexible 0 point. So the 0 point is sort of the source of everything. And if you, look at the point within a circle, this is the 0 point where everything comes from. And then it expands out in this circular, spiraling movement and becomes this vortex. And it becomes a toroidal field where everything has possibility. It's not limited by anything. It is pure, raw power and intention. And out of that field, we can shapeshift, change, move, realign, or we can just stay placidly in whatever circular pattern, spiraling pattern. None of them are good or bad, but we have the gift, we have the ability to be able to come to that 0 point and see the outer edge of that vortex, and then move to that outer edge, that circle, and take a look from that circle into the center. May not make sense to a lot of people. They'll say, oh, he's going crazy. But I'm going to just guide you a little. We are that circle around that point that expands and contracts. And when you think about expanding and contracting, what does your heart do? It expands and contracts. And so we look at it in just a human physical sense as pumping blood through our system. But it's really a toroidal field, and it's really pumping energy, the energy that each of us have. And there's over 8 billion of us on this planet right now pumping that energy like a toroidal field, and we're not doing much with it. And we're allowing the world around us to dictate what it is we do here. And so, in that process, what humanity has learned is that some people have learned that the more people you can direct and have power over their movements, their thoughts, their teachings, the more you can tap into their toroidal field and utilize it as power for a variety of human endeavors. And I think in the beginning levels, there was a sincerity and an honesty and a willingness to produce something better for all humankind and all life. And I still believe that it exists today. But what's happened over the centuries is it has been corrupted so much, and it's filled with so much, it's almost like the oceans being polluted with plastic. And so that energy now is very weak. And that's what we're feeling when we're overwhelmed, is that weakness. And so I ask us to envision ourselves as a whole, all of us, a, however many billion we are, standing in that circle. And let's look into the center point. And as I may have said, I call it the flexible 0 point. Because will always be in the center, but it may expand, it may contract, it may look like it's over here, it may look like it's depending on where we look at this point from around that circle. It hasn't changed. What has changed is our position. Think about the planets. What would happen if the planets started moving out of their cycles? Chaos. Why wouldn't it? Because everything flows in a synchronous pattern. So if scientists say, well, we got rocket ships we can send to Mars, and we don't want Mars over here, we're going to move it over here because that way there we'll have water and we can live on it. Well, oh my goodness, we have this power to do this. This is what's happened. Not that in that particular, but in many small ways. And we don't see them. We don't see them because they happen over periods of time. This is like this 4 year span from my first talk to this talk. So much has shifted and changed within me and around me that I can't even begin to put a rope around it and or lasso it in and anchor it in your lives. And only 4 years. Notice the changes. And notice the changes that have brought heaviness. Notice the changes in you from carrying that heaviness. Notice the changes where you may have felt helpless, where you may have felt abandoned. I'm just going through my repertoire, where you have lost people you thought were your dearest friends over something that you still can't explain. I had somebody tell me in a conversation, uh, you got rules? It's like attacked me because I obviously stood in my power and said, enough is enough. I don't want to hear anymore or whatever. Right? You got rules. And that's the last conversation I've had with this person. And I laugh because he was my teacher. He was my teacher. Although it hurt, and although these things hurt, there are teachers. And what they're trying to teach us is that we are more powerful than the words. We are more powerful than the actions. We are as we are powerful creator beings. And just as others can create things that harm us, so too we are complacent in the same process. We are many times create things unthinking, just automatic pilot out into the field. And today I want all of us to stand hand in hand. One hand receiving, the other hand sending. And gather together around this heart center, this toroidal field, and live in that activation, not the activation of this that goes boom, 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 boom. This has no rhythm, no rhythm whatsoever. It's energy, raw energy just sparking off. I'm thinking of Tesla's thing with all the things coming off of it. I don't even know the name, nor do I care, but I have the vision of it. It's wonderful, but it has no purpose until somebody takes it and honors the power in it. And this is where we have to come back today into a place of gratitude and thankfulness for the power that we have and have always had, and nobody can take it away from us unless they stop our hearts. And we see that. We see that every day in many different ways, and I've seen it for thousands of years. So let's just take a deep breath, and I'm going to read you something from 2017. It was from my talk. It was something my guides gave to me then. Each moment in time is an avenue in eternity. I'll say that again. Each moment in time is an avenue in eternity, whereupon we stroll hand in hand, each one of us. I always like it one receiving and one giving, until we join heart to heart. It's this connection, this hand connection, energetic, my hand reaching out, somebody taking it, and etc., and keeping that is joining us. What's in the middle of those two hands? Our heart. Then, whether the circle's 6 people, 4 people, 2 people, doesn't matter how small the circle is, doesn't matter how big the circle is. In that connection point, we are the toroidal field. We are the heart resonance. We are the energy of harmonic balance, whereupon we stroll hand in hand until we join heart to heart. How far is it from your hands to your heart? How far is it from your head to your heart? How far is it from your heart to the earth? You see, we've been looking at life from out there to into here, and thinking we've been looking from in here out there. But it isn't, because we are the ones, we are the movie makers who created all of that and brought it into form. Masters, creative beings. Then in our oneness, we radiate through all dimensions. Not just the third dimension, the fourth, the fifth, the 16th, the 9,432nd, but that energy moves out. And the message today is to come back to being grateful to have that ability, to have that power. And if we can recognize whatever level of power we can recognize, there's no good, bad, or I got more than you, you got, we all got the same. Everything's got the same. It's how can we let go? How much of the old programming, of the old, you got to do this, it's got to be done this way. Oh no, humanity, this is how humanity was formed. Most of those answers came to serve somebody's ego. And usually it's the ego of the person who is thinking it. This challenge to be the brilliant one, the poet laureate, the king, the queen. It's that desire, that false magnetism, if you will, misused energy that has created this moment in time for all of us. I'm not here predicting warnings. I'm not here warning. I'm just awareness. Take what I say, take what resonates with you, take what doesn't resonate you, and throw it in the trash can. It doesn't bother me. I come here from my heart, not from my ego. I don't, this is not my issue. I don't make money doing this. I don't, I'm not on stage. I'm not doing this because I want fame. I'm doing this because I need to know who I am. And as I come to know who I am, then I can help others begin the journey of knowing who they are. And as this healing process takes a deeper hold and a deeper grip, we're realizing that so many people are experiencing the same thing. And why wouldn't it? We're all in that circle. All of us, no matter what language we are, no matter where we live, doesn't matter. It's this human body. It's this heart. It's this vortex that is connected to source. No matter what name you put on it, no matter how you want to be aware of it, or whether you want to worship it, or you don't want to worship it, or you want to honor it, it's not going to stop. It cannot be stopped. But if it is stopped, game over. So we're living in a world of challenge. And the more we radiate through all dimensions, the more we begin to see ourselves in each other. We're now living in a world that is becoming a challenge, I will say, for many. In many ways, a challenge for all of us. And yet we have an opportunity to overcome the anxiety, the sense of loss, deepen into gratefulness. Even if it's just gratefulness for your morning breakfast, it can be that small. It's like the grain of sand in a beach. You're one of them. Be the grain of sand that when you look at the beach, it attracts you. It calls to you and wants you to pick it up and say, oh my goodness, look at the color, the shape, and ooh, isn't that beautiful? Be the beautiful grain of sand. Because it's much like what we are. Tiny molecules, all together, part of the greater whole of everything that beyond our human ability to comprehend. And bless all of the amazing scientists and people, geophysicists, and all of these people with their educations. I so envy them so much. And yet I also realize that there's a price they pay for that too. They can't see the world that I do because they're looking through their microscopes and their high powered equipment and trying to define it in a modern term so that it can be usable, but they're guided by people who want to sell it and make profit on it. And just like this virus, the virus is horrible. And I'm not going to say anybody made the virus. Virus is virus. They exist. Granted, there are man-made viruses. We know that. But the reality is, as even look at these vaccines, the principle that these vaccines are based on is got to be 20, let's see, 19 something, they're over 25 years old. But nobody believed it could be done. And the woman who discovered this was let go of as useless, a woman with amazing brilliance. And it was useless because it could never figure out how it might be used or not be used. And I'm not judging it good or bad, but this is the moment in the history of humanity where we awaken and realize that every thought, every action that we have is not just about us. It's about everyone else. And we need to have gratitude, find gratitude, even in the people who hurt us. There's a message in that. It'll bring up something in us that was a weakness or something that we did that we weren't even aware of that created the scenario. And we can now let it go. We can stand and ground into Mother Earth and the heavens, standing in our hearts. We're still not going to make always the right move. But we're going to learn when we didn't quicker. So if you want to call it a quickening, you may do that. And in this quickening, it's happening for everyone simultaneously. Amazing. It's an amazing time. Doesn't always make me feel good. I'm still human. I still have to drink water, and I still have to eat, and I still have to have shelter from the crazy weather that changes every 5 minutes. Ah, yeah, so beautiful. This is my message today, and yeah, we all have to come to overcome the anxiety or sense of loss through, I'll read my notes here, through our gratefulness for our abilities to shift and change as rapidly as the world around us. We are one circle with over 8 billion points of light encircling the eternal center point. We don't need separation anymore. Separation has no purpose anymore. There was a time when there was a need for it. There was a time when it wasn't corrupted because it was balanced. It was balanced separation and balanced and harmony. But then this group tore that group and that group and that group. They ripped them all apart. They stole their lands. They killed their children. And all of us come from that. There's not a family not a person on the place of this earth that does not have that in their history. And that's why we feel the way we do today. When we see justice go unserved. Because somewhere in our DNA, it opens and releases that poison. We don't have to memorize it in our head. We don't have to. It's in the genetic codes of our bodies. So the message really is let go of fear and despair, for it only keeps you a prisoner within your own flesh. Instead, allow the energy of gratitude more space to bear witness that to all that you indeed are and have to offer all life forms on Mother Earth. And I'm here to say thank you. I'm here to say thank you for seeking a better way of life. Better way of life, not only for yourself, but for all of us. A life that's more balanced, less fearful, more cooperative, more unified. I'm going to read down the list some of your messages. I always love to read them later, and I will always, respond if I have something important to say. But it's important for all of us to come together. So here's one. Alexander Stewart. The power that we possess as creative beings can change the world if we would only come together as one and unite with the power of love and light. Absolutely. I've been saying that for years. I mean, that's my purpose here. I died and came back to anchor peace, light, and love into the world, all living forms. Carry on. Pick up that banner. Doesn't matter on what level you do, how small or how big. And know that whenever we do that for someone else, we get more energy to come through. Because what we've done is cleared a blockage in ourselves that says, "Oh, that's not my job. I don't have. No, that's so and so's job. It's not a job. Get over the fact that it's a job. It's just who you are. It's just how we were all supposed to be here. Because we're all together somewhere else simultaneously. Treasures, Lily says, we have to treasure the nature and the beauty of nature because we are nature. There's only a few differences between us and most of nature. Without water, most of them don't exist. So remember the water. Separation does not exist. It doesn't in reality. There is no separation. But that is the illusion that we created in order to do something out of unity. I told a shaman who contacted me that in the dream time and wanted to confront me and spoke of ancient civilization that we knew each other in. And I said, do you remember the time we chose to separate and we thought it would be good? And he turned around and left me because he didn't think that I understood what he was doing. And this is what people do, even in other dimensions. They come and threaten you with life, or they come and threaten you with their power. And it's time now we stand up. And we don't have to fight or kill or have weapons, but stand in our truth and remember you are a sovereign being. Rabbi Muslims always say, Allah Matullah, for everything is from God. Yes. Praise be to God, however you vision or worship God. But honor it as a benevolent God, not a God of war, not a God of separation, not a God that is looking down at all this and is pleased with what it is seeing. Because it sees far more than we do. We are that energy of the Creator, that supreme being, regardless of how we worship or look at it or speak to it or whatever. We are that energy field of creation here and now. want you to tap into that. It may be a little heavy, all of this. We all have things to learn about ourselves that are not going to be, welcoming and pleasant. But the main thing I want to get across to everybody is each one of us are going through this together. And own it, own it, and love yourself through the process of it. Looks like the last comment here. Michael Bradley, namaste, dear friend. How do you retain composure within the mind, refraining from feeding the ego when sharing such realization and intuitive knowledge? Gentlest fortune and deep blessings. Yeah, I don't even, I don't, I have, I don't, I don't try to retain composure. I don't retain composure. I don't try to do anything. I think the key to what you're saying is is beautifully apropos, because so many people, that's when you have a deeper inner connection to who you are. The ego gets bigger and bigger, and for some that's been necessary. That's been the pattern. That's been the pattern of life. Is I have some wisdom, so how do I get out to the world? Well, I have to go to a publisher and write a book and get a publisher, or somebody else. I have to go on TV, and I wanted no part of this. Believe me, I didn't want it. I did a little radio phone thing with a friend. Began, and she said, "You people got to, you got to talk to the people." And I said, "I don't. That's not my thing. I'm just here to plant seeds." Like Johnny Appleseed. I just plant a love here, a little light there, some peace over here. That's all I want. I want nobody. And what you realize is that first is the awareness. Come to the place of awareness within you. And know that in that awareness, it doesn't make anybody better than anyone else. And if we can block off that connection to the separation here, I call it the separation now. You get two halves of the brain. Here's the separation. And realize that stay in the heart. Let the energy come from the heart to the mouth, to the center point in your brain, to the third eye, to the part of your brain that is not controlled by what's physically around it. Trust that before you trust the energy that somebody is telling you. You need to do this and do this and do this. And I'm in the process of it. I got all these people telling me, "Oh, and help me with this and help me with that." And I do. And there are many days you get so tired. And because I don't charge or do anything, they take even greater advantage. I can't condemn them for who they are. I can't, chastise them. I'm not in charge. But I do know that with many of them, they'll reach a limit. Just like the guy who said, "You got rules?" Well, you push far enough, eventually you will come across a rule. And I'm not saying that to demean anybody or anything. I say that for each of you to know that you are sovereign beings. You were born sovereign beings. You came from a place of sovereignty. Life is a sovereign realm. And that which we call God and worship and honor in many ways, we're doing the same. What we're doing is this energy is the same. My love for Creator is just as powerful as your love for Creator. So why are we arguing? Why are we fighting? Why are we killing you? Why are we destroying each other's villages? It doesn't make sense anymore. We've evolved to a level of awareness that is beyond what's written in the books. The books are being written since I was a child to now, and you're getting a different history today than you did when I did. When I was in school, I didn't make it well in school because I was highly intuitive then. I would read the history books, and the history teacher was, well, and I'd say, there's something wrong. Wasn't there this? And I'd have these memories. And like, you must be dreaming or hallucinating. And I grew up my whole life telling people telling me that, well, he's just crazy. Yeah, it's all good. Am I crazy? Maybe I am. But the key is be honored and honest with whatever that is you are. And believe me, if you are crazy, it will reveal itself. I'm going to tell you that you're not, but you're more afraid of being called crazy than being seen as who you truly are in unity. That's the scary one. How can I be one with everyone and everything? Do you have enough gratitude for who you are to seek that path? I know you do. I know you do. I know you do. There's no reason. I know you do because this is who you are. This is where we're at. We're at that next stage to go up 3 more steps or whatever and move forward. We can elevate ourselves out of the muck, out of the debris that's holding us down. I can ramble on all day, and I've been told to shut up more than once in my life. So I'm going to end here and thank you all for being here. Keep smiling. You're more powerful than you can ever imagine. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. See this? I can figure out how to get my. Don't look at unity. What's at the bottom of unity is that beautiful world. Look at that. Unity. One heart. Be gentle and be kind to you. It's most important right now. If you need to back away from things, back away. If you need to be quiet, find places to be quiet. If you need spiritual counseling, find somebody who can spiritually counsel you. If whatever you need, please honor yourself with that gift. When we take care of who we are and come back into balance within ourselves, we are giving the world the greatest gift we can possibly give. We're standing in our truth. We're naked. And it's not a comfortable place to be, but it's definitely not as shameful as what we've been living in. Thank you. I'll be here next Friday. Love you all and bless you. With Susan sending love. Thank you, Susan. And allow, again, this is my 200th talk here on humanity healing. And there's so much gratitude. Didn't in the beginning, I had no clue what I was going to talk about. And now I just don't shut up. So, uh, blessings. May your week, may this month of July, hello, July, be the ending of some of that deep, darker muck and becoming aware of that. And I think I'm feeling that this month, it's not going to be easy, but I think we're going to be able to put some distance between that and us so we can take a better look and start cutting away and saying, I don't need this, I don't need this. And I'm only telling you what's happening in me. And I start with the material things, which are easy because yes, dump them in the dumpster. But as you do that, all the memories of that thing come up and who and what and where and why. And it's like, oh, I've had enough. So be gentle with yourself. Love yourself, please. It was I got this is my first hour-long talk. I hope that's not a new record pattern. I don't like usually to tie up people's time that long, but I love you, and it's my 200th anniversary, so it's my gift to you. Enjoy the week. You can find me on my own blog. I think I don't have it here, but on my page, Charlie Riverman Bergeron on Facebook. I tell people if you want to know more about me, just Google the name. They know more about me than I do. I have to go to them to figure out what I did. That's how much my ego loves what I do. Go on. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your love and your prayers and your gifts, and I offer them right back to you many manifold ways. All right. You have a wonderful day wherever you are, or evening wherever you are around the world, and know that you are loved, and you are loved. Not only are loved, but you are loved. And if nobody else tells you, I will. I love you.